For 3/4 of a century, the Colorado record brook trout stood at 7 pounds, 12 ounces. According to the records, it was caught by George Knorr at Upper Cataract Lake. That record wasn't broken until 2022, when it was quickly reset 3 times in just 5 months. First, just barely by this 7.84-pound fish, followed quickly by this 8-pound, 9-ounce fish from 11,130-foot Water Dog Lake. I'm normally critical of these tedious, forced perspective, arms thrusting the fish forward hero pictures, but this is a masterly example, no? When I was a kid growing up in a Denver suburb, I scoured all the angling literature, especially Tim Kelly's guides, looking for mountain lakes that held larger than average fish. I was also what we now call an early adopter of lightweight backpacking gear. I had, still have, a light goose-down stuffed Gary Cunningham era sleeping bag. I had a Svea 123 camp stove and nesting aluminum cook set. Still do, but haven't tried to start my beard on fire while lighting that stove for quite a while. Radical lightweight stuff for the era. The Gore Wilderness is very close to the Denver metropolitan area where I grew up. I hounded my father until he agreed to take us on a trip to Upper Cataract Lake in the Gore Range. The trail to Upper Cataract Lake starts at 8,587 feet and reaches an elevation of 10,613 feet. That's about a half mile of vertical packed into 6.2 miles. It is quite reasonably rated as, quote, more difficult, unquote. My 2 brothers and father had to Sherpa their bulky rectangular cowboy-themed flannel sleeping bags up that steep trail. An aside, while looking for a picture of similar sleeping bags, I came upon this ad on Etsy. Last rodeo bridal pajamas. Bachelorette cowgirl sleepwear. Western bride pajama set. Makes you think. Anyway, that ordeal was the first and last backpacking trip my father ever went on. In those pre-float tube days, I fished the high lakes with cast-a-bubbles and flies. At Upper Cataract, the bubble and fly setup caught a few cutthroat on a pattern out of Jim Quick's 1960 Fishing the Nymph. It was a brown and orange chenille Ted Trueblood stonefly nymph, an unlikely choice for a lake, but one of the few patterns I then had all the materials and almost the ability to tie. This is what's left of that fly. I'm sure that we didn't eat any of the fish, just stuck to that yummy, reliable Dinty Moore stew. Many years pass. I'm working on the Dillon Ranger District and get to accompany the district ranger down the Blue River to meet George Knorr at his small ranch house situated just east of Colorado Highway 9. Since the ranger, George, and I are all avid anglers, the conversation naturally bends that way. With some pride, I show some of my flies to George. He likes the patterns, but is adamant that they all need to have their hooks sharpened. Lesson learned. Eventually, I asked George about his record brookie. He casually admits to having caught it, but conspiratorially points to a little stock pond north of the house as the source of the record and says, "Near as I know, there never were any brookies in Upper Cataract." George eventually had to sell his ranch and move to assisted living in Kremling. He made it to age 98. Those old ranchers used to keep everything sharp.